Over the last 7 years, I managed more than $20 million in Facebook ad spend, working with over 5,000 students across pretty much every type of dropshipping store that you can think of. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the entire process of creating a Facebook ad campaign completely from scratch. We're gonna go step by step through every setting that actually matters, why it matters, and how to avoid the mistakes that waste money or kill your results before you even start. And by the end, you'll know exactly how to set up your campaigns, test your creatives, and make decisions based on real data. The combo that lets beginners start strong instead of fighting uphill from day one. Now look, if you actually want results with your Facebook ads, this first step right here is not optional. Before we even touch ads, we need to set up the backend the right way. So I need you to lock in right now because I'm literally going to do it with you guys click by click, where all you have to do is just make sure that you're following along. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to create the Facebook page that your ads are going to run from. So on Facebook, just go to the left side, scroll down, click pages, and then hit create new page. Now this is a public page, so this is gonna be the one that customers will see. So for the page name, just go ahead and use your store name. Now for the category, type shopping service or whatever matches best from what you're selling. Now for this bio, do not overthink it. You can come in here, you can just write something simple that explains what your store sells, or if you wanted to sound cleaner, you can also have ChatGPT generate one and just go ahead and paste it in. So right here, just go ahead and hit create page, and then now we got the skeleton of our business page. Now after that, Facebook is gonna let you add in your website, your email, your phone number, profile picture, and a cover photo. Now just go ahead and toss something in this for now, as we can always update it later on. All right, so next thing we need is the domain, because that's what you're gonna end up verifying inside of Meta. So inside Shopify, I'm clicking through the builder, hitting get domain, and then choosing the free option that they gave us for the first year. I type it in, I connect it, and that's it. It's pretty simple. Now let's go ahead and bounce back to the Facebook page real quick and go ahead and finish the setup. So right here, go ahead and add the website that we just grabbed for your temporary .myshopify domain if it's not already verified yet. Then add in a profile picture, add a cover photo, and then hit done. Now after doing all that, your business page is officially live. Now this is the page that all your ads are gonna be shown from. And you'll also use it for organic engagement, liking posts in your niche, commenting, following creators in your space, all of that. And I will explain why this is so important later in this video, but for now, we just needed the page created. Next up, we're gonna build your business portfolio. This is Meta's version of your business manager. So I'm heading back into the ads manager, and then at the top, you're gonna see the option that says create a business portfolio. So go ahead and click that, and then type in your portfolio name. Now it's gonna go ahead and ask you for your name. And here, you wanna go ahead and put your real first and your real last name exactly how it's shown on your ID. Because there might be a couple times where they ask you to verify that later on, and it does have to match for you to be able to make it through that security. So now you have that set up, just go ahead and hit confirm. And then right here, you're gonna see the Facebook page that we just created pop up. So just go ahead and select it. Click next, and now your business portfolio is officially created. All right, now the next step from here is we need to create an ad account. So right here on the left side, go ahead and click settings, then add accounts, then create new ad account. Then for the name, you can just go ahead and type in your store name again, as nobody's actually going to see this. Now you also wanna make sure that your time zone is correct. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose Central because I'm locally here in Dallas. Now right here, you just wanna go ahead and set the currency to USD or whatever currency you're in, hit next, agree to the terms, and then create the account. Now Facebook is now gonna ask you to add a payment method. Now you have the choice to do this now or do it later, but you have to add it before you start running ads. So honestly, I suggest getting it over with right here so everything is ready to go once we do actually start running the ads. All right, so now that we have all of that finished, let's go ahead and set up the pixel. So on the left menu, go ahead and scroll to data sources, click pixels, and then hit create pixel. Then just name it something simple. I'm just gonna go ahead and name it pixel 1. Now that you have that finished, we're then gonna go ahead and assign it to your business portfolio and then hit create. Now we need to connect this pixel to Shopify so it can actually track your visitors. So I'm gonna go ahead and click into the events manager, select that same exact pixel, scroll down to partner integrations, and then hit Shopify. So now go ahead and click connect account, continue with your Facebook login, choose your business portfolio, and then when it asks for permission level, always choose maximum so it can track all the data that it needs. Shopify is now gonna show you a list of pixels. So what you wanna do is just make sure that you match the last 4 digits of the pixel ID to make sure that you are choosing the right one. Then once that's done, go ahead and click connect, agree to the terms, and then submit for review. You're then gonna see it process for just a little bit, and then you're gonna be good. So now the pixel is connected, but it is not active yet. So we do need to go ahead and get it set up. So let's head back in here into Shopify. Go to online store, preferences, and then password. Then we want to go ahead and remove the password so the store is publicly viewable. Then you're going to want to go ahead and grab your store domain. Now, if your custom domain isn't ready yet, just go ahead and use a temporary Shopify domain. and where you can go ahead and find it right here under settings and then domains. Now, go ahead and copy that URL and then paste it into the Facebook pixel test field. Now, this next step is important. You want to go ahead and open up the store and act like a customer. So click around, open up a product, add it to cart, click buy now, and even start the checkout. Now, you're not going to actually buy here. What you're doing is you're just firing the pixel event so that Meta sees activity. Then after doing all that activity, you want to go back into the events manager, and after a few seconds, your pixel should go from red to green. Now, if it doesn't, you do want to go back into the store, go ahead and click around again, as this is also totally normal. Then once it does turn green, go ahead and hit next and then finish. And before we move on, let me add something here, because this is the exact moment where I wish someone had stopped me years ago. Back when one of my first products took off, my pixel was active, my backend was set up, everything looked perfect, but I still wasn't ready. Orders started rolling in, and my supplier completely collapsed under the pressure. I had delays, missing packages, angry customers, and chargebacks everywhere. So yes, I did look profitable on paper, but I didn't see a single dollar of it. And it wasn't because my ads were bad, it was because my fulfillment wasn't ready for the momentum that I created. That's why I tell beginners to lock in with Team Drop right here, before traffic ever hits your store, because they act like an actual partner, not just a random supplier, where you get real communication, real support, verification photos before every order goes out, everything that I wish I had before things blew up on me. So no, you don't need it later when things break, you actually need it right now, when everything is still clean, so that you're prepared when the ads start moving. So now at this point, your Facebook page, your domain, your business portfolio, your ad account, pixel, and supplier are now all set up correctly. And that's your entire backend clean, synced, and now ready to run real ads with. But now that the backend is set up, you are officially ready for the step that most beginners skip, which is warming up the account. And look, you can skip this part if you want. Nobody's stopping you. But here's the truth. Almost every time that a beginner skips this part, they will end up paying for it later on. A brand new ad account with no activity, no engagement, and no pixel data, Meta sees that as a risk. And when Meta thinks that you're a risk, your ads will not deliver the way that they should, which makes them way more expensive. They barely even get reach to anyone, and the whole campaign fights against you from day one. And you want to know the solution? Well, it's this warm-up campaign, because it prevents all of that, and it literally only takes 2 minutes to set up. Let me go ahead and show you how to get it done. All right, so inside the ads manager, what you want to do first is go ahead and hit create, click on engagement, and then manual engagement campaign. Now you want to make sure that the objective says engagement, and then keep everything else at the campaign level simple. Inside the ad set, you want to name it something like warm up, and then set the location to the tier 1 countries, age 21 plus, and your budget at $10 per day. Now for the engagement type, go ahead and choose Facebook page. And since this is just warming things up, you don't need a perfect midnight launch. So whatever point of the day that it is, just go ahead and launch it at that time. Because engagement campaigns, they don't require that level of precision, which you will see why once we start actually running our ads. But for now, let's go ahead and stick to warming up our account. Now inside the ad itself, go ahead and upload one simple scroll stopping image, something positive and eye-catching. Then pair that with the short welcoming captions, like 2 lines max. Something that makes your page feel real and then puts good energy behind your brand. Scrolling down, just make sure that your pixel is active and showing green under tracking, and then go ahead and hit publish. Meta's now gonna ask you to add a payment method if you haven't already added one yet, so this is gonna be the perfect place to go ahead and do that. And that's it. $10 a day, you just let this thing run, and it's gonna start getting your account warmed up, so you're gonna be in the best position to start running ads here in a second. And I do wanna be real, why this matters even more in 2026. Meta is stricter than it's ever been before. Brand new ad accounts are getting flagged, slowed down, and pushed to the back of the line before they ever even get a chance to perform. Most beginners never recover from that, and they're already fighting uphill before the ads even turn on. But you're not in that position anymore. You've already given Meta the early activity that it wants to see. Your page looks alive, your pixel has movement, and your account is treated like it's actually here to do business, not like some empty profile trying to sell overnight. So now you're starting from a place that most people never reach. And because of that, you're finally ready for the part that actually determines whether you lose money or make money, which is testing your ads. Alright, so here's where things get interesting, because the next step isn't guessing or throwing random ads at the wall. It's finding what's already working before you ever even spend a single dollar. And once you know where to look, the pattern jumps out fast. So the question is, well, where's the first place that I should go? And the answer is TikTok. So once you make it on TikTok, right here, just go ahead and search your product name. And what you're looking for is user-generated style or UGC videos with engagement that have solid views, comments, and likes. So I just went ahead and typed weight loss patches into TikTok. And look at this. Here's a video with a little over 20,000 likes. Not views, likes, which tells me right away that people are not just watching this. They are agreeing with it, saving it, tagging friends. And that is real demand and engagement. And when you watch it, it's the exact type of content that we want. A clear demonstration of the product, no watermark, no brand logo baked in, and no heavy editing. And you can tell that this isn't some polished brand ad. This is raw UGC. It's straight to the point, and that's why it connects, and the comments confirm it. People are asking questions, they're sharing their experiences, debating whether it works. I mean, all the stuff that you want to see. That's what makes a creative like this valuable. When a simple, low-lift video is pulling real engagement like this, it means the solution and the messaging behind the creative is doing the heavy lifting, not fancy editing and not a crazy script. And that's exactly the type of creatives that you want to test, because if it's already working organically, it has a real shot at performing inside paid ads. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and copy this link. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it into the SSS tick or Snap tick and download it without the TikTok watermark. And just like that, I've got a clean base creative that is now ready to test. Now, another tool that I love to find creatives is also by utilizing the meta ad library, where you're kind of doing the same thing. You're just searching for your product or niche, and then inside, you're gonna see every ad competitor that is running on Facebook and Instagram. So you'll see their videos, their images, their headlines, their offers. I mean, all of it. I mean, here's one example right here, where you can see the angle that they're pushing, which is heat up in 3 seconds, paired with a clean UGC clip. And if you're seeing multiple brands across a niche using that same angle, well, that's a sign that it's definitely pulling conversions. And if you want to go ahead and download a competitor video from here, just use a browser extension like Video Downloader Plus. Then just save it, download it, and you're done. Now, I do want to be clear that we are not copying their text word for word. Instead, you want to take their best performing angle, paste it in ChatGPT, and then say something like, "This is my competitor's primary text for their meta ad. Make me my own high converting version of this for my sales campaign." Then just ask for like 2 or 3 variations. One from the problem angle, one from the convenience angle, and one from the emotional benefit. Boom. Now in only a couple seconds, you got multiple versions that are now ready to test. And at this point, I do want around 5 creatives total. And you kind of want to do this mix of videos and images because you just never can assume. You really have to let the data tell you which one is going to perform the best. So once I have my videos, my images, and my different marketing angles, I'm now officially ready to set up the creative testing campaign. This is how you figure out which ad is actually going to stop the scroll, which angle people respond to, and which one has the potential to carry your entire store. And in 2026, this step is even more important because Meta's new Andromeda update that changed everything. Andromeda put way more weight onto creative performance than it ever has before. It automatically pushes your budget towards the ad that's getting the strongest reactions. So when you're testing your creatives the right way, you're letting the algorithm do the heavy lifting for you. And that's why this works so well now. Then once you find that winning creative, every campaign after this just becomes so much easier, cheaper, and way more predictable. So let me show you exactly how to set this thing up the right way. So back when you make it to this main dashboard, just go ahead and hit create and then hit sales. Now what you want to do is turn on CBO so Meta can put your budget wherever the strongest creative is. And right here, what we're going to do is go ahead and name the campaign. I'm going to go ahead and type in something like weight loss patches sales campaign. Then for budget, I would recommend starting at around $50 a day. And sure, yes, you can do $20 or $25, but I want you to understand, lower budget equals slower data. Where at $50, you know exactly what works within a day or two. Now, once the budget is set, inside the ad set, you want to set the conversion location to website, since we are going to be sending people to your Shopify product page, not your homepage, your product page. So I do want to make that very clear. Now for the performance goal, it should always be maximize number of conversions, and the event should always be purchase. Next, we're going to go ahead and set the schedule to start at midnight. Now this is important because if you turn your ads on at 3 p.m., Meta will try to spend that full daily budget in only a couple hours, which ultimately hurts your performance, where midnight gives you clean delivery and clean data. Now for targeting, you want to make this as simple as possible, which is by keeping it broad. Now that that's set, go ahead and set your location to the main buying countries. The ones that consistently perform the best are going to be United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. Now for age, go ahead and make it 21 plus, and then set the language set at English. Again, the whole point here is that this is a creative test, so we definitely don't want to overcomplicate targeting. And here's the thing, when you do reach this stage, your biggest risk isn't losing money on ads. It's running your ads without any protection. Because when real orders start coming in, well, so do refunds, disputes, and chargebacks that you never saw coming. That's why before running any serious spin test, I always make sure that my backend is completely bulletproof. And one tool that helped me keep it that way, the one that I recommended to all my students who are complete beginners to dropshipping and running ads, is chargeback.io. Now this is a tool that is quietly running in the background, filtering out fraud and preventing chargebacks before they ever even hit your processor, keeping your dispute rate low, and your account as healthy as possible. Because nothing is going to kill momentum faster than getting flagged just when your store is finally ready to start taking off. So if you want to start with the same protection that I give all my beginners, go ahead and grab it in the description below. Now let's go ahead and jump back into setting up the rest of this campaign. Alright, so inside the ad level, you want to make sure that your Facebook page and your Instagram account are connected. Then you want to go ahead and paste your exact product page URL inside of the website URL field. Again, not the homepage. Because the fewer clicks that it takes to land on your product, the higher the conversions are going to be. Now right here is where you're going to go ahead and upload all of your creatives. Now let's go ahead and lock in the text. Now this is the part that either pulls people in or loses them immediately. Where your primary text is where you're going to sell the product, the benefits, the problem that it solves, and why it's even worth clicking. But the structure is what actually makes people read it. So you want to space it out, short lines, clear points, no walls of text, because people will scroll right past those. And the very first line, that is everything. I mean, it's about 90% of your success. If that first line doesn't make someone stop, nothing else matters. And if someone taps the see more button, that's a clear signal telling Meta that people care about this. And Meta rewards that by pushing your ad to more people for cheaper. Now with your headline, this should always highlight your main offer, like 50% off plus free shipping, buy two, get one free, or buy one and get the second one for 50% off. You want to always avoid bland headlines like hair growth spray, shop now. Nobody's going to click on those because they don't communicate value. They don't tell the customer what they're getting or why they should care. But after you get all of that inputted, you now have your first ad completed. And look, instead of rebuilding everything from scratch, all we now have to do is just duplicate your first ad. So if you have 5 creatives, you want 5 ads inside that same ad set. And when duplicating, you always want to double check the basics, which is going to be your URL, your shop now call to action, pixel, copy, and your correct creative selected. When you're duplicating, Meta sometimes does reset small things, so always just go in and confirm it. And now once all your creatives have their own individual ad, we are now ready to publish. Alright, so at this point, your creative testing campaign is officially built. You've got multiple angles, multiple creatives, clean tracking, clean text, and clean structure. Everything's set up exactly the way that it should be. But I want you to remember, the whole reason that we set this up the way we did is so that the next step actually means something. Because once the ad starts spinning, the entire game shifts. Now you're not building anymore. You're reading. You're letting the numbers tell you which angle's strong, which one is weak, and which one actually has the potential to carry your entire store. And if you don't know how to read that data, everything that you just did becomes guesswork. So in this next section, I'm gonna break down how to understand your numbers the right way. Your CPM, CTR, unique link clicks, add to carts, purchases, ROAS, all of it. Because the faster that you can read your data, the faster that you can cut the losers, push the winners, and scale with confidence. Look, before we get into any of this, let me just address the obvious. Seeing all these numbers for the first time, it can 100% feel overwhelming. Everybody feels that way. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make this as simple as possible. So by the time that we are done with this section, you're going to know exactly what every metric means, why it matters, and how to use it to make the right call, where you can turn an ad off, keep it running, or scale it with confidence. Because once you understand this part, running ads stops being guesswork. Every decision becomes clear, fast, and profitable. So let me go ahead and pull up this KPI sheet. Because once you learn how to read it the right way, everything else in your ad account finally starts to make sense. So the first number that you're gonna see is CPM, or better known as cost per 1,000 impressions. What this is gonna do is it's gonna tell you how expensive your niche or audience is with what you're putting out there to them. So there's only 2 things that can happen here. You can have a low CPM or a high CPM. A lower CPM means cheaper traffic. Higher CPM means even more expensive traffic. And if CPMs are super high, everything else will naturally be more expensive. So if it's around like that $15 to $20 range, you're definitely doing good. But if you notice it around $30 to $40 plus, that's just telling you that your industry is more competitive and your ads are not competitive enough inside of that industry. Now next is going to be your CPC, or better known as your cost per click. This just basically tells you how much you're paying for someone to click your ad. So the lower the better. But again, CPC alone is not going to sit here and tell you the full story. Now this is going to lead us into one of the leading decision metrics that matters a lot in creative testing, which is going to be your cost per unique link click. This is what the real cost is for you to get somebody to visit your website. Look, Facebook counts every click, even if the same person taps into your ad 5 times. So unique link clicks are only going to be counting for the people who make it to your website, while your clicks are only going to count for the people who are clicking into your ad. which makes this number far more important than your cost per clicks. This is why the KPI sheet gives you a cutoff for your unique link click costs. Now, for example, if your cutoff is $1.10 for your cost per link click, and this ad that you're looking at has spent like $5 to $10, and you don't have a single link click into your website, just go ahead and turn it off. You don't even have to run all the way to the break-even cost per purchase, which we will talk about in a little bit, because you know that your ad is already showing you early on that it's not working. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the next big metric that's important, which is going to be your CTR, or better known as your click-through rate. Now, your click-through rate is going to tell you one thing. Did your creatives actually make people stop and click to watch them? Now, what I like to look for here is 2.5% and up. That's the baseline that tells me that the thumbnail, the headline, and the ad copy text is doing well enough to get people to want to click into it. Now, the next metric that you always want to be aware of is going to be your average video watch time, which is just going to tell you on average how long people are watching your videos. And the more that they're watching, obviously it's going to come down to the more that they're interested in the product. Now, that is all considered front-end metrics. Now, why I call this front-end metrics is because this is all things that happen before they actually click into your website. Now we are going to head into your back-end metrics, which is what it's going to cost for people to make actions when they do visit your website. Starting off with add to cart. Now, these metrics are going to be your holy grail. These are the most important metrics when it comes to your creative testing campaign. This is the moment that tells you that your ad did its job. You know the right audience and you know the right person that you're targeting. And when they did make it to your website, you know exactly how much it costs for them to add the product to cart. So add to carts are a big deal in testing because they're the first sign that people are seriously considering buying. And this is why that cutoff number exists. Because even if you're driving traffic to your website, but they're not sitting there adding the product to the cart, you also don't want to spend way too much money on that either. So it kind of gives you that parameter that you can use to make the right type of decision making when running ads. For example, if you have a cutoff now with $10 for an add to cart, and you get an add to cart at $8, and that break-even purchase number tells you exactly how far you can let an ad spin while still giving it a chance to break even and get a purchase, which means that ultimately you're not losing money, but you're also not making money either. So in our example, let's say your break-even cost per purchase is $23.78. Then if you do get an add to cart by that $10 break-even add to cart, then we will now let it run to $23.78 to try to get that purchase. And if it hits that number and you don't get a purchase, you turn it off. But if you do, before you reach it to that point, you then know that you made profit. And also you can notice that it doesn't just stop after the first purchase, it continues to keep going from that point as well. So then you know that your next break even is going to be $47.56, which means that if you don't get that second purchase by that point, you still then just turn it off. Then you see your fourth point is $118.90, and so on and so forth. This is where everything becomes math-based. Once purchases come in, you move through the break-even ladder, where each step along the way tells you exactly how far to let the ad spend go before deciding if it stays or gets cut. And then when you're seeing these purchases consistently coming in under those thresholds, which you will because you're following this strategy, well, that's when you know you're ready to scale. Now, right here on the right-hand side of the KPI sheet, you're going to see your break-even ROAS and your target cost per purchase. Now, your break-even ROAS, or better known as your return on ad spend, is just telling you something similar to any type of business, which is ROI. Are you making money while running ads, or are you losing money while running ads? So if your break-even ROAS is 1.69 and your actual ROAS is above that, then you're profitable. And anything below that means that you're not. Same exact thing applies when it comes to the target cost per purchase. If you're below it consistently, you are 100% in a great place. So here's a simple way to think about all of this. Click-through rate just tells you if your ad and your thumbnails are interesting. Your unique link clicks tell you if people care enough to click into your website. Your added carts tell you if the offer makes sense. Your purchase tells you if your funnel works. And your ROAS tells you if you made money. And I know, 10 minutes ago, this all looked crazy confusing, but now you can read your data like someone who's been running ads for months. You know what's good, what's bad, when to turn things off, when to keep them running, and when it's time to scale. And most importantly, you're no longer guessing. I mean, the numbers tell you everything. And because you made it this far, I'm actually gonna give you this exact KPI playbook that people spend thousands on for 100% free. So when it is time to run your ads, you have a clear roadmap for what to cut, what to keep running, and what to scale. And you can click the link in the description right below to grab it so you can finally start understanding your own numbers. Okay, so now that the testing phase is handled and you understand what it means to read your data, let me go in and walk you through what comes next, which is what to do when you finally see a winning creative inside your ads manager. All right, so we ended up publishing 7 different ads, and we actually ended up getting a few purchases from one of them here. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into the metrics. So as you can see on ad 3, we ended up getting 2 purchases with a cost per result right around $10.24. So there were a couple ads that were turned off because the spin was getting a little too high and we weren't really seeing that 2.5% click-through rate that we wanted. Now these ads weren't performing the way that we needed, so ultimately what we needed to do was just go ahead and cut them. And the ones that were left on were the stronger performers. Where you can see right here with ad 7, I mean, it has a lot of engagement and a lot of clicks. But we are seeing more added carts coming specifically from ad 3. And that's when you got to start making those decisions. You can see ad 7 does look good on the front end metrics, but ad 3 is the one that's actually pushing people deeper into the funnel. That's why we always look at both. Reach, clicks, click-through rate on one side, which again is your front end, and then your added carts, checkouts, and purchases on the other, which is your back end, before we ever decide which ad to move forward with. Now overall, it looks like ad 3 is the winning creative here. With $42.20 spent, we had 2 purchases coming in from ad 3, plus a couple of upsells attached to those orders. Now ROAS is positive at 3.28, which is solid. And if we go briefly back here to the KPI calculator, you can see that our target profit ROAS KPI is 1.74, and that was to make a 20% profit margin. So 1.74 is the goal, and we now have done 3.28 ROAS, which means that we're sitting right around like a 40% profit margin with this. Now looking back on our metrics, at this point we know that ad 3 is the winning ad. Now we're already getting a good return on our ad spend. So if we just go ahead and increase the budget, we can't expect cost per click to stay around that $1 range, but ultimately make even more sales and profit. So let's go ahead and click on ad 3, hit duplicate, and then choose to duplicate the original setup into a new campaign. Now we can go ahead and finish setting this new campaign out. So here what we're going to do is just simply increase the budget. Somewhere around that $75 to $100 is definitely a good start, depending on how many ads that you're running. Now the more that you increase the budget, the more people that you can touch with it, and ultimately the more chances that you give yourself to make even more money. This is exactly why we did the creative testing campaign first, to make sure that we had good metrics and actual conversions before putting more money behind anything. So with the rest of this campaign, I mean, honestly, we're just gonna keep everything else relatively the same. The campaign name reflects that this is the winning setup. The ad set is still sending traffic to the same website, and our performance goal is still maximize number of conversions. And then for the purchase event, we're still gonna always optimize for purchase with Pixel 1. So we're gonna go ahead and have this scheduled again for midnight so that the budget spends cleanly over the next full day. And then on the audience side, again, we're still gonna keep things the exact same as before. Now, when it comes to targeting, you have 2 decisions here. You can either keep one broad ad set targeting a group of top countries, or you can start structuring things by duplicating the ad set and focusing on one country per ad set. For example, you can stick with the United States in one ad set and then add additional ad sets for other strong markets that you already seen activity from. Now in this case, when we broke down the campaign data, we saw a lot of engagement coming from Canada, and we even had a few purchases from Canada as well. We also saw activity from places like Portugal and the United Kingdom. So one option is keep the original ad set targeting the United States and then duplicate that ad set and then swap the country to Canada, then duplicate that again and swap it to United Kingdom, and then just so on and so forth. Where you're still utilizing that same winning ad and focusing on the same structure, you're just giving it more chances across different countries where you know that there's interest. Where you're letting the Advantage Plus in the AI system help you build a stronger overall campaign score as you scale. Now, back at the ad level, we're going to keep working with the same winning ad, which is ad 3. We already know that the base creative works. So instead of changing the whole video right away, we're gonna create variety by just testing different types of thumbnails. So we're gonna take that winning ad 3 and then now duplicate it multiple times. In this case, we're gonna duplicate it 4 times, so we have a total of 5 different ads. All of these different ads are using the same winning video, but again, each one will just have a different thumbnail. Where you'll see something like ad 3 thumbnail 1 as the original, and then ad 3 thumbnail 2, ad 3 thumbnail 3, and then just so on and so forth. So you just wanna go ahead and click into one of these duplicates, scroll down to the media section, and then hit edit media. Choose edit video and then click on the thumbnail. Now here you're gonna see different frames from the video itself that you can then use as alternate thumbnails. So for thumbnail 3, for example, we're gonna select one of these images, save it, and now that still image will show before the video plays, giving us a slightly different hook on that same type of winning ad. Then we just wanna repeat this for the rest of the duplicates so we end up with multiple versions of ad 3, each with different thumbnails. That way, we're still pushing our best performing video, but with more variety and how it appears in the feed. And doing things like this is why understanding your data before this point is so important. Because once you get into this step of scaling, every decision has bigger consequences, and your numbers are the only thing that keeps you profitable. All right, now if you're still here, then you just got the full blueprint that most beginners never see. You now know how to set everything up the right way. you know how to test your creatives the right way, you know how to read your numbers without guessing, and that alone is going to put you light years ahead of everyone else that's still spinning their wheels. But let's be real for a second. Even with all of this, some of you are still going to be stuck on the most important step, finding the winning product that you can run through the system. And if you don't start with something that already has demand behind it, everything becomes 10 times harder. The creatives, the engagement, the testing, the data, all of it becomes extremely difficult. So before you launch anything, you need products that are backed by real proof. That's why I just dropped a video where I break down and give you the top 10 winning and trending products for this month. Products that are already showing momentum, already pulling engagement, and already backed by real data. So if you want an easier start, if you want creatives that practically build themselves, then you want to go ahead and watch that video next. And go ahead and let the algorithm do the heavy lifting from day one. So I'll see you there at this next video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you guys rocking out with me. This is AC with Supreme Ecom, and I'm out.